Everyone, we are back this week at the Genesis Open at Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades, California, right up the street from me. I'm going to be heading out there in about 45 minutes, pretty much right after this is done recording. I'm going to get in my car and go over to the practice pro-am round. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be sharing some pictures, watching some of these guys, probably the guys that I really want to play this week, to be honest. The PGA Tour needs to embrace fantasy because it makes you fans of these guys. If a guy's winning you money every week, well, probably going to become a fan. So I'm just going to hop right into it. I recorded for a half hour and forgot I had something on the stove, and I smelled that, and I had to quickly restart the podcast. And headed back into it. I'm going to make this one short and sweet because I want to get the hell out of my house and get out there. So, and the plays kind of speak for themselves this week. So, DJ at the top, play DJ, all formats. History here is absolutely stellar. Form is on point. I don't know where the approach game went wrong last week. I don't really know what happened to him last week other than he was in contention but didn't really pull it out. He was making birdies all week, so I think it's fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Still playing better than Spieth and Rory and JT at the moment. So that combined with his much better history here makes DJ my pick at the top. All formats, lock and load. Spieth is fine, I think, if you want to go there, just for ownership purposes. Rory, same. JT, same. I'm not overly excited about any of them, but they're all in play in GPPs. I just won't be having too much. I will just be building around Dustin Johnson pretty much for the most part. Paul Casey, I really like this week in all formats. It's just a matter of fitting him into a cash game lineup, which is really hard. If you still want Dustin in there. So I like Casey more in GBPs as either a second fiddle to one of these top guys or as the top guy in your lineup, but I don't really feel too comfortable with Paul Casey as my top guy. He could play, I don't know, probably, I really do think he top 10s here, but if DJ wins and you have Casey as your anchor, you better have the guys finishing right behind DJ, because if you don't have those guys, you not having DJ is going to be hugely detrimental to your lineup. So that said, let's go to Phil. I like Phil a lot here. He's trending up with his game. He's been playing, he's played really well at this course in the past. 2 wins, 2 seconds. That all points to Phil fitting here well. He's a strategy guy. This is a second shot, kind of shape the ball course, and Phil's amazing at that. So makes sense that he's played really well here. Tommy Fleetwood coming over to the U.S. pretty much for the first time to play, these normal tour events. I really like his game. He's, I don't know where these allergies coming from. He's a stellar player, really good ball striker, greens and regulation king. Obviously, I don't have the stats for him. He's a Euro Tour guy. If you go to the Euro Tour site, you can find the stats, but I'm not importing stats that aren't compared to the same players. So Fleetwood, I think, is a GPP play only for me this week, as much as I, want to buy in. He's just not shown the, American history that I want when I'm paying this much for someone. So he's a GPP play, one that I really like, but, am I taking Fleetwood over Phil? Maybe, but I'm not excited about it. If I wouldn't have said that like 3 weeks ago, but it turns out that Phil is coming around again. So yeah, I like Fleetwood. Leishman, you get some good odds value on him, but I'm just not too into Leishman this week. I initially was, which is why I put a B for both cash and GPP next to him, but it's kind of not growing on me at all. In fact, I'm going the other way. I'm kind of down on Leishman now. There's good results here in the past, but also some bad ones. Recently, he's been all right. I mean, the two top tens are great, but I just don't really know if he's going to get it done again this week. 8,500 is a solid price, and I don't think he'll be wildly owned, given even with the value on him. So I wouldn't hate if playing some Leishman and some GPP. Alex Noren, pretty much the same story. He's not been stellar in the U.S. Historically, but now he's been playing really well this season when he's come over. So I do like Noren a lot. This course fits in pretty well. You can fire him up in GPP. Grace, pretty much the same deal as Noren. Great ball striker. Very solid results recently. Grace also comes with a little bit of history. 22nd here last year. Pretty sure he also has played on this grass a lot growing up, as has Charles Schwartzel, South Africa. Some of those courses have this grass. So I do like Grace a lot. Berger. Berger's going to be a good GPP play. I don't think people are going to play him, given that Fleetwood and Phil are just a few $100 more. Grace, Berger, Noren kind of fall in the same boat there as low-owned GPP plays for me. So I might even consider making a lineup of like Noren, Grace, Berger, Casey, and see what I'm left with. Just to be contrarian. I don't think people are going to do that. So that said, yeah, you get the odds value isn't there on these guys, but that's probably why people won't play them. And I think the results can definitely be had at low ownership. Ches is going to be pretty chalky again at 8K. I like him a lot here, despite the history. I'm starting to ignore the history with Ches at all these places. He's a different golfer right now than he ever has been before, which shows in the results. So why would I be looking at the results from before when he was a totally different player? So that said, I think he's a play in all formats. If you're trying to jam DJ, Ches, and Steele, it's a little harder at the low end of your lineup because you're probably sacrificing one of Ollie, Chappell, and Peters then, which, if you had to get rid of one of them, I would probably make it, it's tough to say. I'd probably make it Ollie or P. See, that's tough because Chappell's decent history here, but it's been on-off. Peters and Ollie have only played her once, but they top 10. So you haven't had enough sample size to really say what they do here. I mean, 100% record, probably not sustainable. Yeah, so you kind of have to make that decision for yourself. I don't have a strong take on it because right now I'm playing all three of them in cash. So, yeah. Steele, though, Steele's kind of been my guy for a while, so I'm going to keep playing Steele, too. Steele and Ches really just stick out at 8K, 7.9 as cash locks. Steele just been top 30ing everything, and then a third place in Phoenix. That really helped me in one and done, and then Patrick Reed just fucked me last week. So, yeah. And then Ches, pretty much the same story. I mean, just hasn't missed a cut in 20 tournaments, which is insane. Model of consistency lately. So those two guys are both solid plays for me up there. Ches also a great POA putter. Ollie, Peters, I'm just going to lump them together. Both great ball strikers, bombers. Guys I'm actually really looking forward to watching in person. Ollie with that low penetrating ball flight of his, the stinger, and Peters is just a bomber with a huge long swing. So really excited to see those guys. But yeah, Peters won the 2012 National Championship here, NCAA. He's a Euro Tour guy, but a lot of these Euro Tour guys end up playing college golf over here just for more experience. And, overall they get a degree and stuff out of it. So I think it's more fun for them than anything than trying to, grind the tour when you're like 18 years old. So you need to get some, coaching out of it. You get to play a lot of these awesome courses in the States. So Peters came over from Belgium. I forget where he played. I want to say it was Texas. I want to say it was Texas, but could be just confusing it with Johnny Vegas. Or it could be Texas A&M. I think it was a Texas school that Peters played at. Um, but yeah, really, really like both of them here. Bubba is interesting. He's playing the Celebrity All-Star game on Friday night, but so he came out and said that if the golf tournament starts to interfere with that at all, he's going to withdraw. Like, he would prioritize the Celebrity All-Star game over playing in the rest of the Genesis Open. He's already withdrawn from this tournament twice in the past. Some weather stuff, I think it was before. A delay due to rain and weather, and then he was just like, "Oh, I'm withdrawing," basically. And last year, I think he was missing the cut badly, and then just decided to eject. So, yeah, I don't really know what to do with Bubba. I don't think he's a cash play by any means. FanDuel is really tempting me with that 9-3 tag, but I think I'm going to resist. Go more on to Charles Schwartzel and Keegan Bradley, which scares the fuck out of me. I like Adam Hadwin, too, in that 9.3, 9.4K range, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Kevin Chappell, great cash play on DraftKings. I'm not going to pay that price for him on FanDuel. 7,700 I really like on DK. He has a little bit of a narrative. He said that Riviera is probably the course on tour that fits him best, even though the results don't show it. So I think he's going to come out there and try to really play well this week. He's been playing really well in the past 2 months, so I really like Chappell this week. Too cheap, also a cash play for me on DraftKings. Kuchar, I like some this week. Not in love with him, but yeah, he's been pretty good here in the past. As Kuchar has been pretty much everywhere. Not too many top 10s, but not too many miscuts and bad performances either. Pet Perez, I'm going to be fading. Cantlay, I really like here. I'll ignore the 2 miscuts. Those came a while back. Cantlay's just been really solid lately. I'm not excited. I'm not going to be playing Cantlay over Ollie, Peters, Chappell. But I will have some shares of him for sure, just because of the talent level and kind of the price that you were used to seeing him at. Adam Scott, great ball striker. Really elite history at this course. Down in this price range, I would have liked to see him priced a little higher, so people really have to make the choice if they want to play him or not. He's been really bad form results-wise recently, but the ball striking's still been there. It's just the chipping, short game, putting that he's been terrible. When you go third tee to green and still miss the cut over 2 rounds, that's really terrible. That's just impressively bad. Or 3 rounds, because he played stupid pro-am bullshit format. Yeah, but, Adam Scott, if you're playing him, it's just because of his history, and you're hoping for a repeat. Charles Schwartzel I really like, despite the dwindling results here. He grew up playing on the surface, like I said, with grace. I think he definitely has the tools to get it done here, but just not sold on him. It's just not a sexy play for me. Yeah, he's been pretty solid recently on the Euro Tour, but yeah, again, I'm just not dying to play him. CH3 history has been pretty shit over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. He won, I think his last win on tour, I'd venture to say, back here, 15th last year. Really good form recently, though. But he always plays well at these courses in the early swing and then just ejects here. So, last year he carried it over, which is good to see. But I don't really know where I stand on him. I'm going to put him in GPP, I think, just because like the history is bad. I don't think he's changed as a player enough to the point where I'd say like, yeah, ignore the history like I do with chess. Because a lot of these courses that he's continued to play well at, he has that great history that you look for. I mean, there's a reason I already burned him in one and done. So, yeah, I mean, the stats line up, but the results haven't been there here, so I'm going to GPP only CH3. Keegan, I'm actually coming around to. He's been playing pretty well recently. He hasn't had any of those blow-up performances. Maybe he's due for one. But no worse than 43rd his last 3 tournaments. And he's been solid here, too, with 2 top 5s, 2 top 20s, and a 34th last year. So, he fits here pretty well. Long off the tee, pretty accurate off the tee. His approach game has been solid. His short game hasn't been terrible. So I like Keegan here to do well. I don't see why he can't. He's done it in the past. Like him kind of as a pivot off of Bubba. He'll be lower owned in this range. RCB I like too. I really don't see why you couldn't play RCB again this week. Last week he was 6,900, great price. They moved him up 77, probably about right. Maybe a little cheap, but I don't think people are going to go back to the well there just because of these other pricing choices in this range. So, yeah. In this range, I think the chalk is going to be in no particular order, but these guys will probably be over. These guys will probably be over 10 to 20% in GPP contests. Those are Ches, Steele, Ali, Peters, Chappell. The lower owned plays in this range probably like 10-ish percent, 15-ish percent, and less. Kind of going down in an order that I think they'll be would be Cantlay, Scott, Bubba. Those guys all kind of toward the top of that lower owned range. Cantlay, Bubba, Scott, Charles, CH3, Keegan, RCB, JB, Streelman, Hoffman, Kokrak. Yeah. And then if you really low owned guys, it's going to be Keimer, Vegas, Jimmy Walker, Cam Smith. That's the low end. We'll get there. Finau, I'm going to fade. He just hasn't shown the results here. Xander, I like here this week as a low owned play. More so on FanDuel where he's only 9,100. Fits pretty well. Don't see why he can't play well here. 17th 2 weeks ago is always good to see too. I do like Xander quite a bit. Actually, that $9,100 price tag on FanDuel is too cheap. James Hahn, I also really like. He has a win here. 2 top 30s. Does have a miscut, but coming off a win, that's some added pressure. He's going to get some added media that week. I'm not going to hold that too much against him. And he's made the cut in his last 5 tournaments with no worse than a 45th. He's making some good birdies, scoring on par 4s, which you need to do here, and his approach game has been really good here. So, yeah, it's just the short game that's let him down a little bit, but I do like Hahn. Not really a bomber as the off the tee stat shows, but gets the job done in other ways, particularly with the approach. So I do like James Hahn quite a bit. All formats for Hahn, actually. JB, GPP only. Gained a lot of strokes putting on POA at, what was that, when he finished 4th. So, yeah. Xander may have had a really bad putting week on POA. Yeah. I'm going to have to look at that. I don't want to play Xander if he's going to be on POA and can't putt on POA. So, I'm going to look into that. Streelman. Streelman I like a lot. Again, last 4 tournaments, no worse than 40th, and he has a 6th last week. Really good bogey avoidance, makes a lot of pars, throws in birdies sometimes. Short game has been really on point. Greens in regulation, he's killing it too. So, I mean, that sets up really well for him here. Not very good history, but I think he's in the chess boat where he's, been all right throughout his career, but now he's kind of turning a corner maybe. So I do like Strowman this week. Just more of a FanDuel play at 8,800. I like some more plays on DraftKings better at similar or cheaper prices. Adam Hadwin I think is solid. I'm fine with playing him this week. In all formats, I like Hahn a little bit more. He's shown kind of a higher floor so far this year. And he has that win here, which I think is a good thing to have for him. Hadwin, 3 really good results here, though. So I don't want to not play Hadwin just because, he had some bad results early in the year. He kind of turned it around. 3rd at the Career Builder, 35th at the Waste Management, I believe. And then 35th was at the Farmers Insurance Open. Yeah, Torrey Pines. So yeah, I do like him. And then Keegan too with that 5th at Torrey Pines. That's on POA, so you'd like to see that. I do like Keegan quite a bit here, like I said. But yeah, Hadwin I like. Hostler, I'm not really sold on Hostler yet. Cam Smith I like. He's all right. I like Hahn and Hadwin a little bit more than Cam Smith. Charlie Hoffman, I'm going to be off of just due to his withdrawal last week from back issues, which can flare up at any time. If they were bad enough that he couldn't finish his round, then that's not good. Jason Kokrak is in play in GPPs on DraftKings, all formats on FanDuel for me. Jimmy Walker's GPP only. Molinari, I'm going to be fading. Haotong Lee, I'm going to be fading. Keimer is GPP only. Bad short game, so watch out for that. Johnny Vegas. I don't know what to do with Johnny Vegas. You can play him in GPPs, but I'm not going to be doing that. Kevin Na, I'm going to be fading for the most part. Martin Laird, I think, is worth a dart throw. 2 really good results here his last 2 years, coming off an 8th at a event, the Waste Management, that he's had really solid course history. So, if you want to shoot your shot on Martin Laird, I wouldn't hate it. William McGirt, same kind of deal. Good results here in the past and coming off at 26th. Ryan Moore, I'm just going to be off until he shows me something. Sangmoon Bae is a guy that you've probably never heard of. He had to do his 2 years of Korean military service. So that kind of derailed the last 2 years, but he had 3 top 12s or better in the 3 years before that at this tournament. So, and he was coming in with really terrible form last week and got a 15th at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So, maybe he's looking forward to this event and got his game together in time. So I think he's worth a dart throw in some GPPs, but I would never be playing Sangmoon Bae in cash. Harkins, of course I played him, in cash the 1 week that he missed the cut this year instead of getting a top 25, top 15. Great, wonderful. Led the field in approach last week, which is even better. But I think he's GPP only still. Can't just go right back to the well. Brian Gay is a GPP play for me. The results have been good here, but the history has been terrible, so take that for what it's worth. Luke List is a bomber. 12th at Torrey Pines, though, which is interesting, but that's a bomber's course. So, yeah, I mean, I like Luke List. He's always a GPP play, especially on FanDuel where he's always really cheap. He's been playing pretty well, so I wouldn't hate it if you played some Luke List. Aaron Wise, another guy with these mixed results recently. Patrick Rogers, GPPs, those guys. Saunders is interesting because he's been playing really well. The stats kind of show it. I think he's worth some GPP darts again, low ownership. Wes Bryan, fourth last year, which is interesting, but I'm kind of going to be off of him. He just hasn't been very good throughout the rest of his career. Besides like a fourth here, he won last year, but he's just not. I don't really think he's built for this course. It's surprising he got fourth. Jim Furyk and KJ Choi are the last two guys I want to touch on. They have elite course history, super solid. I mean, together they've only missed one cut in their last like 20 tries here, which is insane. So, and I don't think people are going to own them highly just because they're old and it's not a sexy play. Jim Furyk has been playing on tour. Choi hasn't been playing well on tour. But you look at the results are there. So I think you can throw these guys in some lineups just as contrarian plays that you're hoping, the chalk busts and you go with the safe course history guy and he pays off for you. So I don't hate that call. I personally won't have too much of either. I mean, I'm more likely to play Choi, on both sites, particularly FanDuel where he's super cheap. And I'm not really too into playing Furyk over like a Hahn, a Hadwin. These younger guys that I think have better chances to actually go out and win. But that said, Furyk, I mean, he plays his game. He's like Steve Stricker. If you played Steve Stricker last week, you got a good result out of him. So, you can't complain about it. It's not a sexy play, but, you can't complain. So that said, that's it for me. If you want to build some lineups, hit me up on Twitter, Slack. I'll be around. Be at the tournament. Well, practice rounds today. See who I can see. And, hope to have a good time out there. So, best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you next week.